Folded. Let's go to Limpopo now, and I'm joined by ENCA's Khurana, who has spent the day in the various areas where VBS operated. And Khurana, you were there when the queues were forming, and the elderly and the young and people with children were spending days in queues. What is the reaction? I've seen you've been speaking to a number of role players in that area since morning. What is the sense you are getting about the reaction to this report?
People are angry, people are emotional. They're saying this should not have been allowed to happen, and they're actually saying that they want to see people in jail. They are particularly angered by the fact that the name of the king, Khurana, is also among those who brought this bank to its knees. They're saying that he, of all people, as a leader of this community, should have protected his people. Many have been very vocal in terms of communicating messages to him saying that he is a failure and they want to see him in jail. I would like the team to play us a bite from one of the elderly people that queued outside this very branch that we are standing outside of in Sibasa when the times were tough and VBS customers were desperate to access their money.
Ndiko favo rivai sanga manda Khurana mirado ngauri ndivone muranga panda wa lothe la venda mara zvino arali vo utiko thoma nga vone vutsotsi vava vone vane va kho vuita vava va tshi kho sumbedzisana vana va vona zwiḓuludulwana zwavo uri funo tshimbila nga hendila zwino uri zwi sala pfelele zwi saelele sa mulambo izwi zwa vho ramabulana vha zwiita kha vha dzhielwe vhuga kha vha rengiselwe ndaka.
So, Khurana, part of the challenge, of course, is that you will battle to get the King Ramabulana, to come out and speak directly at this particular moment about this saga, but he has had some words to say about it previously.
He has, at a church gathering, he said a few things, but not communicating directly to the people that were queuing outside this bank. I know one of the comments he made was that if these were white people, they would not have been allowed to go through the suffering that we saw the elderly going through outside this very bank, people sleeping outside the bank overnight through the rain, desperate to access their money. And as I've mentioned, there was literally no communication from any of the bank's executive as to what was going on in the bank and should people really worry. Now I want to go back to that clip, Tulas, because that woman is speaking from a market. A lot of the people that were investing in that bank are informal traders. They had burial societies, they had family savings, as well as societies saving in the bank. So you can imagine the amount of frustration that this all created, because these are life savings, these are savings to build homes, these are savings to take children to school. And what we're seeing now is deliberate and a carelessness on the part of the people that were in charge of these funds in terms of showing a lack of care for the vulnerable people in our society. So I've spent the day at that market and people are angry. They want answers and they want the king to come out and speak to them. I have been in touch with the communications team of the king. They're saying that his lawyers are going through the report and in time he will have a response. In time he will address his people and the media.
Yeah, and Khurana, I think part of what we sort of need to underline and underscore is the role and value of VBS in that particular area of the country. It was, I think you'll find no one who will dispute that it really was the pride of the people of that particular area, particularly in as far as it assisted people to achieve things, to build homes, to be able to carry out decent burials for their families. Is that sentiment coming through, including when you talk to people who are perhaps who were involved in the bank by way of being minority shareholders?
Certainly, the relationship that many people have with this bank is generational. It was passed on from a mother to a child to say, this is where, my child, you will save your money. I remember speaking to a woman in July who said that her mother used to come a lot to this bank for loans because her father was unemployed. And to get money to take her children to school and to buy school uniforms, she would come to the bank. She was also saving here to build them a home. And she pointed the house out to me testimony saying that is the house that my mother built with the money that she saved with VBS. So you can imagine that sense of pride that people have with this bank. Also, a language thing. We know that normally when you go to a bank, you have to communicate in English. When people come here, they are able to communicate easily in their mother tongue. There's no need for forms. The tellers know them. It was a community bank. The people that worked at the bank knew the people from the community. And that's also the one thing that people have also highlighted is the fact that the names listed in that report are people known to this community. Those are people that walk these streets. Those are people that knew people that were investing in this bank, saving with this bank for years, and they did this to these people. So people are angry and they are saying they want answers. They are saying they want people to go to jail. But there's also a sense of hope to us. We spoke to a gentleman earlier, Eddie Singo, who's in charge of a group, the Thulamela Business Forum, who are spearheading a campaign to try and raise funds to save the bank. They say they do have the money to save the bank, but they are of the belief that this bank can be revived. And that's the sentiment here. People want to see the bank back on its feet, and they are willing to do whatever they can. They are willing to put in whatever money is needed to bring the bank back on its feet. Minority shareholders are coming together. They want to save the bank. So that's the sentiment here.
Sure, it's going to be a mammoth task, Khurana, because certainly I think if I recall the comments from the curator of the bank, from the Reserve Bank side, he also sort of expressed some skepticism about the ability to save the bank, and also recently advocate Teremo Tau himself saying that, I mean, in his view, this bank cannot be saved. But very quickly, in as far as people's deposits, I suppose people who have not been tracking the story would not really know that there's been a provision that has been made for people to be able to access their deposits via with the Reserve Bank working with one of the top 4 banks, right?
So people who had been depositors, individual depositors with VBS Mutual Bank, are now able to access their funds via Nedbank. Even burial societies, as well as any kind of saving group, can also go to Nedbank branches. People that had loans with VBS are also able to pay off that loan, because we encourage that so as to save all the funds that the bank has lost. So there are some branches that are open to allow that kind of process to take place. I know the branch in the CBD Toyando is operational for that purpose. People can go in and pay off their debts for car loans, for home loans, and any other kind of credit that they had with VBS Bank.
Yeah, including loans to pay for non-security upgrades in Nkandla there, Khurana, because, of course, many people first came to know of VBS around that time. For now, we leave it there. That is ENCA's Khurana Chona out in Limpopo there.